in the cold, gray city where buildings scrape the sky and people rush past like rivers. Two small figures, Leo and Sam, were islands in the stream. Brothers, barely 10 and 6, they called a forgotten alley their home, a cardboard box their castle. The world had abandoned them, left them adrift after their parents vanished like smoke, but they had each other. That was their anchor. Leo, the older one, was the captain of their tiny, shipwrecked vessel. He scavenged for food, his eyes sharp for half-eaten apples in trash bins, or kindness in a stranger's gaze. Sam, with his wide, trusting eyes, was the crew. He kept watch over their meager treasures, a worn-out blanket, and a book with half its pages missing. One evening, as rain began to stitch the sky to the pavement, a new sound joined the city's symphony, a tiny, desperate whimper. It came from a pile of soaked newspapers. Leo cautiously pulled back the soggy mess, and there, shivering and soaked, was a little ball of fluff, a puppy no bigger than his hand, with eyes like 2 drops of chocolate. Sam's face lit up a rare sunrise in their usually gray world. "Leo, look, can we keep him, please?" Leo's heart, usually guarded, softened. He saw the same loneliness in the puppy's eyes that he saw in his brother's and felt in his own. "Okay, Sam, but we have to take good care of him." They named him Sparky because in that moment he was a tiny spark of warmth in their cold existence. Sparky became their shadow, their shared secret, their joy. He'd chase his own tail, making Sam giggle, a sound more precious than gold. He'd lick Leo's face, a messy, unconditional affection they hadn't felt in a long, long time. They shared everything with him, every scrap of food, every inch of their blanket. For the first time in forever, their small, broken family felt a little more whole, but the city's chill was relentless. A few weeks later, Sparky's playful yaps turned into weak whimpers. His little body, once a bundle of energy, grew still and hot with fever. He wouldn't eat, not even the piece of sausage Leo had managed to find. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced Leo's heart. He looked at Sam, whose eyes were flooding with tears, and knew he had to do something. He couldn't let their spark go out. "Don't worry, Sam," Leo said, his voice trembling but trying to be brave. "I'll fix this, I promise." Wrapping Sparky in their only blanket, Leo cradled the sick puppy against his chest and walked out of the alley. He didn't know where he was going, only that he had to find help. He walked for what felt like miles, his thin shoes soaked through. He approached people, his voice small. "Please, can you help my puppy? He's very sick." But people walked past, averting their eyes, lost in their own worlds. Despair began to creep in. The city felt bigger and colder than ever before. He was just an invisible boy with a dying puppy. Just as he was about to give up, his hope worn as thin as his shoes, he saw a small, brightly lit building. "Animal Clinic," the sign read. His heart leaped. He pushed open the door, a bell jingling softly. A woman with kind eyes and hair the color of salt and pepper looked up from the front desk. "Can I help you, dear?" she asked gently. Leo, his voice choked with unshed tears, could only hold out the shivering bundle. "He's sick," he whispered. The woman, whose name was Dr. Evans, took Sparky from him without a moment's hesitation. Her touch was gentle, her voice calm. She examined the puppy, her expression serious. "He has a bad infection," she said. "He needs medicine and a warm place to recover." Leo's heart sank. Medicine cost money, something he didn't have. I don't have any money," he mumbled, shame burning his cheeks. He expected her to turn him away, to tell him to leave. Instead, Dr. Evans gave him a warm, reassuring smile. "Don't you worry about that," she said softly. "The most important thing right now is helping this little guy." She took Sparky to the back, and Leo was left alone in the waiting room, the silence deafening. He stared at his hands, feeling smaller and more helpless than ever. After what felt like an eternity, Dr. Evans returned. "Sparky's going to be just fine," she announced. "He's on an IV for fluids and antibiotics. He just needs to rest here for a couple of days." Relief washed over Leo so intensely his knees felt weak. "Thank you," he breathed, the words barely audible. "Thank you so much." But the doctor wasn't finished. She sat down next to him, her gaze filled with a compassion he hadn't seen in a very long time. "Where's your family, son? Where are you staying?" Leo looked down, unable to meet her eyes. "It's just me and my little brother Sam. We live in the alley down the street." The doctor's expression softened even more. She didn't look shocked or disgusted, just deeply sad. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You are a very brave young man, Leo, taking care of your brother and this puppy all on your own." She then made a phone call, her voice low but firm. When she hung up, she looked at Leo. "I've called a friend of mine who runs a shelter, not just any shelter. It's a place for families, with warm beds and hot meals. They can help you and Sam." Leo's eyes widened. A warm bed? Hot meals. It sounded like a fairy tale. "And Sparky?" he asked, his voice full of worry. "You can't be separated," Dr. Evans said with a smile. "My friend understands. We'll make sure Sparky joins you as soon as he's strong enough." A family belongs together. That evening, a kind woman from the shelter came to the clinic. She drove Leo back to the alley, where they found Sam huddled in the box, crying silently for his brother and his puppy. When Sam saw Leo, he ran into his arms. And when he heard that Sparky was going to be okay, and that they were going to a warm place, a real home, his tears of sadness turned into tears of joy. Stepping into the shelter was like stepping into another world. It was bright, clean, and filled with the smell of cooking soup. There were other children playing, and for the first time, Leo felt the heavy weight on his shoulders begin to lift. That night, tucked into a soft, clean bed, Sam turned to Leo. "You kept your promise, Leo," he whispered. "You fixed it." A few days later, a fully recovered Sparky tail, wagging furiously, was reunited with his boys. His happy yaps echoed in their new, small room. Dr. Evans visited often, becoming a sort of guardian angel for the two brothers. She helped Leo enroll in school, and with the shelter's support, they started to build a new life, brick by brick. The city was still big, but it no longer felt so cold and unforgiving. They learned that even in the darkest alleys, a single spark of kindness can light the way home. And for Leo, Sam, and Sparky, their journey, which began in a cold cardboard box, was now leading them toward a future that was warm and bright and full of hope. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires.